4:01. People hopefully will be coming in as I take the roll call. If any person present on this meeting is recording this meeting, you must notify the chairperson at this time. Anyone doing that? Jaden, you're the one every week. Okay, thank you. You'll be the record keeper. Okay, we're going to go to roll call. See here now. The open meeting law, as I've done in the past, requires that I do I have to do roll call votes and a roll call so that, you know, at least for the record, everybody has made a positive physical representation that they're here or that they're voting. So, here, Rita Gardner.
Here.
Thank you. Chief Strahan.
Here.
David Mascarotola.
Here.
Can't see you, but I hear you. Carol Collins.
Here.
Amy McMahon.
Here.
Herb Forgy.
Here.
Stephen Drakulich. Is that how you pronounce it? Is it Drakulich or Drakulich?
Drakulich.
Right. Jen Stromsten. All right, well, Jen Stromsten here.
Yes. Yes.
Liz Gilman. Liz Gilman here.
Not yet.
David Singer here. Jean Wall.
Here.
Okay, not voting. Somebody could. Thank you. Non-voting, George Vandelinder. Marlo Warner. Fernando Fleury.
Excuse me.
Robert Hay. John Andrews. Say here. John, you here?
He's here.
I'm asking
He's
for
here.
a hear from people, please. John. Eric Turok. Laura Phelps. Ed Jarvis.
Here.
Ed, thank you. Greg Diefendorf. I see you. Thank you. Peter McIver.
Here.
Neil Joyce.
Here.
Thank you. Okay.
Liz is on again because I thought I saw her come on.
Okay. Liz, you here?
No, guess not.
Okay. Well, when you see her, we can add her into the roll call. All right. Peter dutifully sent out minutes. I assume people have had a chance to read them. May I hear a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting of October 8th?
So,
Okay. Note that Jean Wall. May I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Chief Strand. Second. Is there any discussion? Okay. All in favor? I'll do it through roll call. All in favor, say aye when I announce your name. Mayor?
Aye.
Chief,
Yes. Aye.
wait, where's Butch? I didn't call Butch's name. Butch, you here?
No, he's not yet.
Okay. Chief Strahan? Yes to the minutes?
Affirmative. Yes.
David Mascarotola, yes to the minutes?
Yes.
Carol Collins, yes to the minutes?
Yes.
Amy McMahon?
Yes.
Steve Drakulich? Yes?
It's on mute.
Steve, I need you to say yes or no. All right, we have a majority anyway. Jen Stromsten?
yes.
Liz Gilman? Not here. David Singer, yes. Jean Wall?
Yes.
Okay.
Steve must be having an issue because he just dropped off the screen, so he's probably logging back in for sound.
Okay, well, we had a majority vote anyway to approve
Yeah.
the minutes, so we're
Yeah.
that far along in the meeting. Okay, now we can slow it down a little bit. Report from the Temporary Fire Station Subcommittee. David?
Yes, sir. I gotta shut this window so you can you hear me,
Yes.
David? Okay,
Yes.
great. All right, so we had our meeting on Monday. We went through some important items. The first was finalizing the contract with Pacheco Ross and Dennis's team. So we think that will be finalized by next week, we're hoping. It seemed positive. There was a few things that going back and forth between the mayor's office, but I think we should have that firmed up by next week. They are starting on conceptual drawings, and that will go full steam ahead once they have a signed contract. Neil went over a document outlining the concept estimate, and it was broken up in some really good detail, and it gives us an idea of the total for cost for the temporary fire station. He broke it up into 3 sections: A, B, and C: lease structures, fit out site utilities, and soft cost. So it gave all of us in the mayor's office some really good detail on some conceptual costs for the temporary location. We talked about a 4 to 6 week timeline for having the conceptual drawings completed, and some bid dates in November once the drawings are completed. So we'll have more to come at our next meeting, which will be on, if I get the date correct, November 9th.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Yeah, any questions from the members of the committee?
David, just a clarification, we're shooting for December bids.
Early bids in December. Yes.
Yes, you said November.
Going up. Yeah. Going out in going out in December, correct?
Yes,
I apologize for that.
that's okay.
Neil, I know that the subcommittee makes up most of this committee, but in case anybody missed the meeting, or for those who are here from the public that weren't at that meeting, can you just give a breakdown of the what you think the total cost of the temporary fire station will be, and some listed breakdown of what where those costs lie?
I can do
Sure,
it, or
David.
Neil can do it. I have it in front of me. Whatever works best, Neil.
Dave, you can back me up with the actual numbers because I don't have the estimate in front of us.
I have it in front, so I could run through it if you'd like, David.
Okay, thanks, David. Go ahead.
All right, so it was broken up. Neil had broken it up into 3 sections. A was the lease structures, and that was 49% of the cost at $952,140.
Okay.
B was the fit out and the site utilities, which is 20% of the cost of the project, which is $546,604.
5,000?
500,046,604. 28%. I wish it was 546
dollars.
And C was the soft costs at $431,000, and it's 22. It's 22% of the project. So the 100% of the project would be $1,929,744.
I know this is somewhat premature, but was there any discussion about the DPW's role in assisting on this project?
Yes, quite a lot of discussion about that. And it looks like there is a substantial amount of work. I don't want to go into the details. Neil is putting it together with together, and Marlo and Neil could talk more of that. But there was a lot of conversation based around how much support they can give us, and to see if we can get cost savings.
And those cost savings would come in on the fit out part, right? The $500,000 to make the site.
Yeah, it would be the fit out part, correct?
Okay.
They're not reflected in that 500 either, right? The savings is not reflected in that 500.
We don't have any savings. We don't have any total savings. You're correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
And does the committee expect, and Neil and David, do you expect, and Mayor, do you expect to have soon an idea, even if it's just an idea, if there was an implementation of a plan, how the DPW could, how they could save us money and how much that might be?
And
So-
I'll let Neil answer that. I think we do have an expectation as to why they are preferable to hiring it out, and it is all about money.
David, right now, the plan is to let the design documents proceed, get in process a little more detail, a little more finite in terms of less conceptual and more detailed. Once that happens, we will continue our discussions with Marlo and Paul Raskovitz at the DPW. And Marlo will help us to identify any scope of work that he does not feel that he can perform on behalf of the city. And once that happens, we will be able to put together the final bid documents reflecting that shared scope and have the documents ready to go onto the street in December. That's the plan right now.
So Neil and the mayor and David, if you can, just for people who are listening, so conceptually, if the DPW does work instead of us hiring outside contractors to do it, does that mean that as part of their regular payroll amount each week, they would be assigned to do this work? And so therefore the savings would be as though we didn't have to hire anybody and it'd be a complete savings? Or will we have to either hire more people or ask DPW workers to work overtime or do other things in order to get it done? And even though we'll save, the savings wouldn't be, sort of a minus zero, it'd be minus another number. The reason I ask that is twofold. One is, myself and the public can get an idea of where we're heading. And the other is the idea that we're actually creating work for our DPW through this process. And so as we talk about this, we might, it's the money's really, if there is more money to be spent, that money is circling back to us to pay our own people to do work. So what can you tell me about that?
Let me start. Unfortunately, Marlo's not here, so I'm speaking a little bit for him. Typically, I mean, the DPW does a lot of work for the city of Greenfield on our projects. Not ones, not the obvious water, sewer, so forth and so on. I can't think of an example right now. I think Wisdom Ways is one of them. Repairs up there. So it's not unusual for the DPW to do that, and they do it within their own work schedule as much as possible. What I mean by as much as possible, it just it depends on the season and how much work there is for the type of people that would be doing the work. In other words, it's not people who plow and it's not people who pick up trash and recycling that do that work. As far as I know, sometimes some people do double duty, but they're not taking those kind of more essential people off of work. It's the usual, the electricians, the plumbers, there may be some excavation work. Neil would know more than that about that, but so that's who it is who's working, and they just put it in their normal work cycle. And so, depending on what those people would be normally doing, it might interrupt their normal workflow a little bit. But Marlo, if I'm not mistaken, Neil, I wasn't in on any of those discussions. So Neil maybe amplifies that a little bit. But Marlo did not seem to be overly concerned. He's only a little bit concerned about the fact that, he's already a little bit short-staffed, and he'll be short-staffed going into next year, which is about the time that we need the work done. So, but we might be able to make amends in that in his budget. So we'll see.
I have one more question, then I'll open it up. By the way, I'm open on chat, so if people want to speak, just chat with me, and I'll let you speak, or you can raise your hands. In my mind, advocating for what we're trying to do here, and trying to be consistent with what the library is trying to do, we're still trying to target that the temporary fire station will be ready. As we go along, we're certainly hoping that the council will vote the extra money. And then, as we move along to prepare the site for the library and get the firemen moved into the temporary facility, do you believe from this point on, if we move at the same pace we're moving, that we'll be able to have the temporary fire station and all the site work done by around July 1st? And if not, can you give me what you think the timeline might be? That's for Neil.
Yeah, I got that. David, the truthful answer at this point is we're doing everything we can to get in there as early as possible. Do I think it's feasible to get in there in July? Yes. Will a lot of that will depend on exactly how much work Marlo can do for us. A lot of it will depend on how good the weather is over the winter. And a lot of it will depend on how soon we can take over the parking lot and land the leased structures into place. So those are probably the three biggest variables that we have right now. And those will come more into focus in December and January as we get through bidding.
But it's not unrealistic.
I don't believe so, no.
Okay.
And the parking lot's ready for a takeover at any point in time. We've handled all the parking issues and so forth. So, yeah, I don't
Okay.
mean tomorrow necessarily. We'd like to get some revenue out of that parking lot for a little while, which I think we will. But whenever it's needed, it will be available.
That's too bad because Neil and I had the lease structures being delivered tomorrow.
Oh, well, slow them down. Cut them off at the whatever border.
Drop them off at the fire station.
Yeah.
Does anybody on the committee have any questions or any comments at this point? Okay.
I do believe I see Liz on there. You want to ask, is that Liz that I see? You, Liz?
What's Liz? Yes, I see Liz on my screen. Do you think she should be asked something, or she's going to? Or
I
she
know, I'm just letting you know, if Liz on our screen is Liz Gilman, please speak up.
It is.
Oh, good. You weren't there for roll call, and I was just letting Dave and.
I was on another WebEx on CARES Act.
All right, thank
From
you.
one to another.
So no
Yeah.
questions at this point. Okay, great. Next are reports from Neil and Dennis. I don't know what they have to report. We've just heard from Neil about the temporary. Neil, anything? I don't see Dennis. Do I see Dennis on here?
Not at the moment.
Neil, is there anything else that you need to talk about?
Katrina's on, so I don't know if she has word from Dennis or what.
Who is?
Katrina.
Oh,
Dennis should be on. I'm going to go check on him right now. He might be having technical difficulties.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that's a unfortunately regular thing with Dennis's computer. I did not have anything to add to what Neil was saying, but I would like Dennis to have the opportunity if he had anything to add. But right now, I didn't have anything.
David?
yes, David.
I think the one of the important things is that the contract being put together for between the city and Pacheco, that includes the work for the permanent too also. Is that correct, Mayor? The temporary and the permanent?
Yes,
So,
it does. Yes, it does.
So just that information, David.
That's great. Okay, so Neil, anything to add from the last 2 weeks that would be
Dave,
helpful?
just to summarize, our efforts were targeted towards developing a conceptual estimate, initiating the discussions with the DPW, and working through the contract with Dennis and the mayor's office. And I think all of those were highly successful over the last 2 weeks. So other than that, we intend to pursue that going forward, as well as start to, as I said earlier, develop and refine the design documents to get ready to go out for bids in December.
Okay, so, yes, David? No, you're on mute. Maybe luckily.
Didn't have anything,
Okay.
sorry.
You want to say, yeah, okay. So since I'm going to Ways and Means Committee meetings and I'm starting to be more of an outward advocate for this, I want to make sure I understand if I'm right about the numbers right now. So I don't see any counselors on here, but when we make a full, oh, I'm sorry, Ed, I apologize. Ed Garvis is here. He's a counselor. I think of you more as part of this committee than I do the council. So we believe, I think at this point, that we're going to need to ask in full for $17.5 million. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay, so when we get to the next part of the agenda, we'll maybe talk a little more about that. Okay, just want, anything else? Anything, Dennis, I see you're here. Thank you. Is there anything you'd like to say to us, Dennis, at this point?
Yeah, I apologize for getting on late. Time got away from me. I apologize for that.
You missed a couple of jokes, but that was it.
Yeah, it's all right. We just made some jokes about you and, talked about you behind your back.
No less, Mayor.
We volunteered you for a lot of things. Okay,
Well, I
so
thought, David, you wanted him to verify sort of the status of where we're at with the temporary.
temporary and I guess the permanent is probably not any different because we don't have the site yet. But yes, anything on the temporary, Dennis, that you could add? You didn't hear Neil, so you might be repeating it, but it's okay.
Okay.
We're slow on the uptake, so I think every time you hear something, it's helpful. So go ahead.
As a matter of fact, I was actually going through Fuss and O'Neill's proposal to us for their scope of services. That's what I was actually doing. So we have two consultants we're looking at, Fuss and O'Neill for civil, which is fairly limited, but still necessary. And then CES, we're getting a proposal from them for mechanical, electrical, plumbing, a little bit more involvement there. So those are happening as we speak. We'll have those. And then that's on the temporary. Adam is continuing to work to make sure that the two layouts for the tents and the one for the trailer are still on track. So all that's starting to come together. It's just really kind of an ongoing process, David. So that's where we're at on those.
Dennis, I have a question for you. If I don't see any, let's see. Once all this fit out is done on the Hope Street parking lot, will that parking lot be changed to a place that could sustain construction or a building on it because of the type of infrastructure that we're bringing to it? Electricity, water, sewer, anything of that nature?
It's a great question, but I would answer no. And the reason is because the amount of utilities that are coming in are very limited in scope and size, just enough to support what we're doing to keep the cost down. Had you put a building on there, whatever that building may or may not be in the future, the utilities would have to be sized for that building. So they could
I'm curious as
obviously be different.
Why do you ask, David?
Because I think from a political point of view, I just wanted to be able to say that if we're spending money on the Hope Street lot and we're putting the infrastructure in, it's something that we can use in the future. I want everything that we're using here to be of use to us as much as possible. Obviously, the structures we're leasing, and so that's posed a problem because of the cost. But if some of the infrastructure, I mean, there's two things that I think can be positively stated to the community. One is we're putting some infrastructure in, and so maybe that site is now available for development, maybe by our community, maybe in the future, a public safety complex could go there, or a city hall, or something, something else, because that part of town is definitely a part of town that has a lot of investment. And the other is the DPW, the idea that if they're going to work and we can keep people busy, then the money that we're going to spend is going to be on our community and people in our community. So it's not a total loss that we have to spend this money for the temporary site. So that was the reason.
Could I respond to that from the City of Greenfield Mayor's point of view?
Sure.
Okay. It, you know, the way the community can benefit by this is considering it for the time being, the temporary time being that it will house the firehouse as a gift to the city, because we do derive revenue off of that lot. And whenever we are able to reclaim it as a revenue generator, we will, until such time as we would need it for what you're talking about. I don't want people in the community to get the idea that as soon as the temporary comes down, we're gonna somehow build something on the property. What you'll be left, because we don't know that at this time, but we do know that it will revert back to a parking lot, which it pretty much can do. And part of the construction is to return it to its best condition so that it can be reused as a parking lot, and which does generate revenue. So it's by no means a waste, because we're not having to spend money purchasing a temporary out of the money that we have allotted for the fire station. We are not having to spend money to put the temporary on. So those are all positives. And that's the way the city of Greenfield would like us to be thinking about it.
Okay. Ed, I saw Ed Jarvis. Did you want to say something? Please.
Yeah, just a little clarification from Neil. And you mentioned it the other night, I believe, at the Ways and Means meeting, that the 1.9 was worst case scenario. It's just a number that we're using right now for the temporary, that we hope to come in under that, correct? I just want to get that out there, because that 1.17 was thrown out and then 1.9, so people are seeing a little increase. And I just want people to realize that worst case scenario, correct?
Yes, the intent is to spend not $1 more than we have to make it functional for the 24 plus months that they'll be there.
Right. I just wanted to get that out there, that so people don't panic when they see the increase already. That was just the worst case scenario.
Okay. Thanks, Ed.
That's a good thing, but I think, Ed, that's a good thing, and I concur with that. But I also want people to understand that the longer we wait to get this done, the more costs rise, and Neil is wisely factoring that in.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else from the committee want to ask any questions or make any comments on this area? The next item on the agenda is the continuing discussion, about what we're doing with our presentation before the city council for the additional funds for appropriation. I can give a short summary, and then I can let the mayor step in and anyone else who wants to add to this. But we did have there were members of this committee, myself, the mayor, and chief. Can't remember everybody else here who came, but there at the Ways and Means meeting there was discussion, and the mayor has submitted she has withdrawn the appropriation that she had for $5 million, and she's submitted an appropriation for $6 million, $5 million of which will be for the balance from the regular debt portion of and Liz could certainly help me with this, from the regular debt portion of for the city. And then there is a fund that the mayor has available that's different from that for another $1 million. We already have, we have $10,500,000 appropriation from the council for $500,000 to do a study and do all those good things, and we haven't really spent much of that money. And I'm hoping that the last part, in some way, shape, or form, comes from our relationship, our wonderful relationship with the library folks. And how that's going to play out, we don't know exactly how, and so we'll be able to tell the Ways and Means and the City Council exactly how it's. But so the total is a 17.5 million. So that's the request. There's a request that we request the full amount. That is the full amount that we're requesting. This is a request from the council. So they asked us not to do 1.5, but to make a full request. The mayor may have to amend the request based on the fact that it's now 17.5, but you're getting the idea. We have spots from the budget where the money can come from. I think we're in the same position. I think we're in the same position as the Johnson Center was, and the high school was, and the library was, in terms of making a general statement of how much we think the project will cost before we get an appropriation. So I think we're doing well at that point. I don't think, and I want to say that this is my own feeling, but I want to put it out there because I know there are members of the public that are listening, that based on the experience that I've seen with this community, with the Johnson Center and the high school, and right now where the library's at, and how I perceive the fire station, I don't think the community has to worry that this thing is going to become like a middle school debacle. The middle school was totally different. The middle school was a building that was in existence. We were forced by an arcane state law to take the lowest bidder, who then tricked us by not reporting that there was asbestos, and then we got engaged in litigation and we got bailed out by the state, and guess what? They changed the law, so that will never happen again. These projects are from the ground up. Besides the site prep, they're pretty much, the architect, Neil and Dennis have been there before. They know what's going on. Yes, there might be changes in labor and goods costs, which might bring the project up, but the project's already fluffed for that kind of contingency. So I've heard people say to me, "What about the middle school? What about the middle school?" There's no comparison. This is not anything like that, and that I feel confident, and I can keep representing, and I hope we all can on the committee, that what we say as our highest will be our highest, and that we're very hopeful, like these other projects, that we can come in under budget, because we're shovel ready. We're in a tough economy, which I know is why people are maybe cautious about going forward. But on the other end of it, we're in a tough economy, and we're going to be shovel ready, and so I think we'll be able to maintain the cost. So I think that's how we're going to project this to the council, and or I'm going to project it anyway on behalf of you. So if anybody has anything to say about that, please do. Anybody want to say anything?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Can I speak, David, to that point?
Please.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I think you're pretty much on point there. I do want to acknowledge you had expressed some concern a few minutes ago that there were no counselors on here. I think you just hadn't advanced your screen. Counselor Elmer, Counselor Gilmore, and Counselor DeSorger are on at the moment.
Great. Welcome.
They are here.
The whole time.
Counselors, I don't know if you were there the whole time. Oh, and Counselor Forgy is reaching over Herb's shoulder.
Great.
I think she means that to say she's calling that she's on the meeting as well.
Okay, thank you.
So Liz can correct me if I'm wrong. The way you were talking about the financial piece, whatever we don't spend, whether it's to spend it on whatever we don't spend on the fire station, as well as whatever we don't spend on the library, goes toward reducing our debt. It's not like we're going to run out and buy a lot of fire engines with what's left over. That is not the case. So it goes towards reducing that debt.
Don't look so disappointed, Chief.
Okay. Again, Okay, so I have chat. I would, if counselors would like to speak at this point, I'm happy to recognize counselors if they have questions. They've been gracious to us about us participating in their Ways and Means meeting. I want to, and I want to provide the same courtesy. Let me know on chat if you want to speak, because we're kind of plowing through this. It looks like our meeting, because if we don't talk, unless there's people that want to talk more about this part of the agenda, we're kind of done with the public session of our meeting, and we're gonna need to go into executive session to talk about Maine and Coombs.
And, well, okay, counselors, feel free while I'm talking to raise your hands if you have questions. Liz, could you stay on for the executive? I'm not sure that you received a invite to it, but it'd be helpful if you were on there. And I can certainly send you the details for logging in. And Ed, for obvious reasons, we're going to exclude you from the executive session. You have the rest of the evening off.
Can I ask why?
Well, because of your involvement with one of the other people who responded to the RFP. So it's a
I-
confidentiality issue.
I,
And
Mayor, if I may respectfully, I don't think it's a conflict in interest that I stay.
well,
But
I
you as
called,
mayor, if you're requesting me not to be there, then I will respect your request. But I
I
also
called,
think that it's not a very, very good request, and that I keep everything in confidentiality between myself and this board.
and
Excuse
we
me.
haven't,
Let me,
we haven't.
Mayor, may I?
Yeah, you may, but I'd like to address that. I did call you, Ed, today and asked you to call me so we could discuss this, and we certainly could have done that on the phone call. I just didn't receive a call from you, call back. So, and I thought it was important to make sure so that we didn't have to do that. So I'm concerned that it is, and for two reasons. We've also heard from a lawyer, as you well know, because you received the email as well. And we need from the lawyer for Billy Walker of Dyer Investments, and we do need to discuss that as well as part of our strategy.
I would say, Ed, that unless you can show me as the chair that you don't have a conflict of interest, I would ask you to please not come to that meeting. If after today you can show me that you don't, then I'd be happy to share with you the video of the meeting, and I would invite you to meetings that are from this point on. But you're working for the people who own the Well Street property.
I am not working for the people who own the Well Street property. They do not own the Well Street property.
Then what is your conflict of interest that made you exclude yourself from other parts of our
Because
meetings?
she represents the person, but she doesn't own the property and she doesn't benefit from the property, and I don't benefit from, but the lawyer told me from the state that I need, while that property is in discussion, I need to exclude myself from it. That's from the state ethics lawyer.
Okay, well, this,
But I will respectfully if we're done with the meeting, then I will respectfully just tune out, and I will do what the mayor requests of me. But
I'm also requesting it, so I hope
we
you will.
will all three sit down and have a discussion about this.
Okay,
And I
Good
request the
idea.
meeting with the mayor.
Good idea.
okay. Next meeting, yes, Carol?
I'm sorry, the executive session is starting at, is it at 6:15?
No, it's a WebEx thing. I had to put a time in there that was coincided with the length of this meeting. I can end this meeting and start the next one before the time that it says it needs to be started. So if you will give me 3 to 4 minutes in 5 minutes, take a quick break.
Hold it.
To
I have
get-
to,
To get the other meeting up and running, then feel free to log on to that.
all right, before we do that, though, we
Meeting.
have a procedure, we have to procedurally follow the rules here. Does anybody think that we need to meet before 2 weeks from now again, or is the 2 week schedule? I think maybe it might be 3 weeks because of the. No. Yeah, it won't, it'll be 1, 2, won't be until, am I getting this right? Next, yeah, second and third, so 1, 2, it won't be until 3 weeks that will be in the second Thursday of November, if I'm doing that correctly.
November 12th.
Right. Is that too far along for us to meet again, or should we meet sooner?
I don't really know. I think it's plenty of time before the city council meeting on the 18th, should we need to discuss anything else relative to that. But Neil and Dennis, maybe you have an idea of whether we would need to be making any kinds of decisions or discussion that needs to happen amongst the full committee between now and November 12th. If you can say that today, fine, and we can always call a meeting at a different time if we need to.
Okay, so the next meeting then is November 12th. That's anybody have any disagreement with that? Okay. So before we adjourn this meeting, I have to make a statement that, let's see, we have to vote to go into executive session, right, Mayor? I think that's how we do it.
That's correct. You have to vote to adjourn this meeting and a vote to go into executive session following the meeting. And the 2 separate votes and and that's it.
So is
far
it
as I know.
do we adjourn? I don't think we could vote I don't think we can adjourn and then vote on anything.
No, I would like to make
you
the
have to
motion that
vote
we
it.
go into executive session, follow it up with adjournment immediately following the end of the executive session.
That's right. Okay.
That's a motion.
All right. So I need a motion as written. I need a motion as written on the agenda. May I hear that out loud?
He just made it.
I made. Oh, I didn't hear. I got cut out.
No.
Chief, you made a motion to do that.
I'll do it again.
I still
I make
can't.
a motion that we go into adjourn the regular meeting and go into executive session, followed by adjournment of the full meeting at the end of executive session. I don't know if I said it right that time, but
All right, I want to add a
basically
friendly. All right, I want to add a friendly amendment to it, and we're going into executive session to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property at Main Street and Coombs Avenue, because I, the chair, declare that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body. Would you accept that friendly amendment?
of course,
Yes.
Okay, second it by a,
Second.
okay. I'm going to take a roll call vote on the ups and downs of that. Mayor?
Yes.
Butch, if you're here. Bob Strahan,
yes.
David M,
Yes.
Carol Collins,
Yes.
Amy McMahon,
Yes.
Herb Orgy. Herb, yes?
Yes.
Thank you. Steve?
I think we lost a while ago, for some reason.
No, I
Okay.
can.
Oh,
you
you're
hear me?
there?
Jen?
Okay, sorry.
I need you to, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Jen?
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
Me, yes. Jean?
Yes.
Okay, so we're all going to leave this meeting and we're all going to plug into the other meeting that I think, who sent it to? The mayor may have sent it to us today, this afternoon. So,
Does everybody have the link to the executive session? I
No.
hope.
Can someone just chat or whatever, send it to me? Someone send it to me.
Oh,
Wait,
yeah.
I found it. Sorry.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure you were on it.
No.
Liz, Liz is the only one I'm concerned about.
Do you need a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Did, we,
No, we're not adjourning no, we do not.
oh,
That's wrong. We're within the meeting, and now we're gonna go to executive session. We'll come out of executive session, and then we'll adjourn the meeting at that point.
Okay.
John Andrews does not have the link for executive session.
who doesn't?
John Andrews.
Okay, John.
I'm writing it down, or else,
So we'll give you 5 and we'll get back on.
you know,
It's four. Let's reconvene in at 10 of, is 10 of 5 fair?
well, it's right now 4:45. I don't want to have a 5-minute executive session.
No, we have to, don't we have to get off of this and go into another link?
Yes, we do.
So
So
I'll meet everybody back at 5 minutes.
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. I'm leaving. Goodbye.
Bye, thank you.
bye.